Isaac Newton is often described as the greatest scientific mind who ever lived. He explained gravity, invented calculus, and laid down the laws of motion that powered the Industrial Revolution and still guide modern physics today. But behind that towering genius was a man who was deeply difficult, suspicious, and often cruel. Newton's discoveries changed the universe. But his personality alienated almost everyone around him. From a young age, Newton was intensely lonely. He was born prematurely in 1643, so weak that his family thought he would not survive the night. He grew up without warmth or affection, and this isolation followed him into adulthood. He never married. He formed almost no close friendships. He trusted very few people. Newton did not handle criticism well at all. One of his earliest scientific rivals was Robert Hooke, another brilliant scientist of the Royal Society. Hooke criticized Newton's early work on light, and that single challenge triggered a lifelong hatred. Newton withdrew from public science for years out of spite. He kept his future discoveries secret, not because they weren't ready, but because he feared criticism. When Hooke later died and Newton became president of the Royal Society, something disturbing happened. Every known portrait of Robert Hooke vanished. No confirmed image of Hooke exists today. Many historians strongly suspect that Newton, now holding power, made sure his enemy's likeness disappeared from history. But Hooke was not Newton's only enemy. Newton's most famous feud was with Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz, the co-inventor of calculus. Both men had independently developed calculus around the same time. But when the question of priority arose, Newton did not argue openly. Instead, he used his political power inside the Royal Society to secretly run the investigation himself. The conclusion of the official report? Newton won. Leibniz was publicly disgraced. European science split into two hostile camps for decades because of Newton's pride. Newton was not just aggressive toward rivals, he was emotionally cold toward everyone. He rarely praised others. He struggled with empathy. He kept detailed lists of grudges in his private notebooks. If someone crossed him once, he often never forgave them. In the 1690s, Newton suffered what historians believe was a severe mental breakdown. He became paranoid, accusing friends of plotting against him. He stopped sleeping properly. He wrote rambling letters filled with fear and suspicion. For months, his behavior was unstable. Some historians believe the cause may have been mercury poisoning. Newton spent years conducting secret alchemy experiments, exposing himself to toxic substances. Yes, Newton was also an alchemist. Despite being the father of modern physics, he spent more time studying ancient prophecies, coded messages in the Bible, and the search for the philosopher's stone than he ever devoted to physics. He believed the end of the world could be mathematically predicted. To him, science, theology, and mysticism were deeply connected. And yet, despite all of this, his scientific legacy remained unshaken. Newton's laws of motion still govern engineering. His theory of gravity ruled physics for over 200 years until Einstein refined it. His work on optics, mathematics, astronomy, and mechanics reshaped the entire intellectual world. So how do we judge him? Isaac Newton was not warm. He was not kind. He was not forgiving. He was secretive, vengeful, and often ruthless. But he was also one of the greatest minds humanity has ever produced. His life leaves us with an uncomfortable truth. Genius and goodness do not always walk together. Sometimes history is shaped not by the nicest people, but by the most obsessed ones. And Isaac Newton was obsessed.